Hey guys, so if you don't know, I love Death Note. Um, it's probably, it's top like three animes of mine. I should say top five. It's definitely up there. Like Yu Yu Hakusho is definitely number one. Um, but Death Note is such an amazing anime. Um, because everyone's motives, their motivations, the whole, is what Light's doing is, is it truly wrong? Is he truly evil? Um, just it never tells you whether it's right or wrong. We kind of come to our own conclusions because you have Light, who is in fact killing people, but he's like, oh, it's to create a better world. So naturally, you look at him as the evil one. But then you have L, who is supposed to be the good guy, but he also does terrible things in order to catch Kira. So it's like, wait, but he's the good guy. So who's really the good guy? And so is he, you know, um, but silence the that episode. If spoiler alert, Snape kills Dumbledore. No, this is the episode where Light finally takes out L. Um, and it just the whole episode is just beautiful. From the imagery to uh, just so several times throughout the series up to this point, L has pretty much alluded to, hey, if I should die in the next couple of days, your son's Kira. And he just kind of, everyone knows, and he goes about his business. But this episode, you see him finally kind of coming to terms with, hey, I'm going to die. Um, so we see like this flashback of, Whammy's house, and we see Watari here with little baby L. Um, and then he goes to Watari, and this is you can see on his face because Watari is like, "What's wrong?" This is presumably, I'm guessing, um, when he goes to tell Watari the plan of, "Hey, I'm gonna have a prisoner use the notebook, kind of to test out that 13-day rule. The if you don't write a name within, you have to basically write a name every 13 days or else you die." There's two rules made up by Ryuk just to kind of throw them off. But um, L always figured that probably was the fake rule because it's like, well, if that was the case, then that with Light and Misa being locked up for well over like 50 days or whatever it was, it's like, oh well, you know, you don't write in 13 days, you die, and which proves their innocence. But he's like, no, that's too perfect of a rule. It's too perfect. That seems made up. So, but this is kind of him coming to terms with not only telling Watari the plan, but what this means, because he knows Light is not going to take it lying down. Once he hears the plan of, oh hey, yeah, we're going to have someone, a prisoner, use the notebook, and kind of do all this. He even says in the episode, is like, no, just if we do this, the entire case will be solved. And so Rem goes ahead and kills L. But he also puts in, if Watari something should happen to him, to delete all data. Being in the end of the episode or the middle of the episode, when after or before L dies, Watari dies as well. Um, I don't think he actually expected anything to. It's like, well, Kira's after me or Light's after me. He's like, there'd be no reason to involve Watari in any of this. Um, but so they took precautions. But just him kind of standing here, and of course, Watari's like a father, so of course he's naturally concerned. He's like, Ryuzaki, what's wrong? What is it? But you can see this whole just you don't see his eyes, but you see um and then there's this moment where he's talking to Rem, and this moment right here, just it's so amazing. You know, just so freaking good. The kind of the oh my god. It's so good. The imagery throughout this episode is so good. Um, and then we see Misa and she's singing. This is actually at the end of the series. This is when Misa kills herself. Uh, she's essentially, she's on top of the building there, and so we see her up here on the top of the roof, which is where we see her in the final episode. Um, and yeah, she kind of, I mean, she did say she can't imagine living in a world without light. So after light dies, she goes too. I mean, we don't know how long after, but yeah, she herself. Um, you can also tell because she looks obviously older in this little sequence when she's singing. Um, and then this moment here um with Rem kind of deducing the whole plan of light, and the smirk, just that, it's so good with his smile. Like, look at this, the shit eating grin when Rem realizes that, hey, I'm not gonna have any choice but to kill L. And if I do that, I'm going to die, but I'm also going to extend Misa's life, after it's already been halved twice. So she's like, Light has everything set to where it works in his favor, and she's like, you truly, that he's truly disgusting. Um, so we have that. And with the whole, you can't deny that you care for Misa, and all that crap, and then, oh my god. And then we get ads, which the best part of the episode. Little Caesars, my favorite. And then we come to probably the most kind of symbolic portion of the episode. I love this. Elle standing out in the rain, and Elle Light kind of asks him, "Why are you standing out there?" And at first he just does this, and then Light asks again. It's like, "Why are you standing out there by yourself?" And then once again, Elle's like, doing this like little goofy smile. And then they have the discussion about, he's like, "Oh, I'm not doing anything in particular. It's just I hear the bells." And Light's like, "The bells?" He's like, "Yes, it's been nonstop all day." And Light's like, "I don't hear anything." Obviously the bells have tolled. The bells, the chiming of the end. Um, like I said, at this point, El knows he's going to die. Like, he realized that this day he is going to die, and he's just kind of coping with it. Like, he knows that it could lead to the catching of Kira, but he has to die in the process because, like, again, Light's not going to take it lying down. He knows he's going to retaliate, and he knows that's why he's been telling the team up to this point, like, hey, if I should die in the next couple of days, if something should happen to me, just know that your son is Kira. Um, but they kind of talk, and Elle kind of says, "Oh, I'm sorry, nothing I say makes any sense anyway. If I were you, I wouldn't listen to any of it." And Light, of course, says, "You're right. If I, you know, I wouldn't know what to do if I just took everything you said seriously." And Elle kind of called him out and says, "I could say the same thing about you." And he's like, "Tell me, like, from the moment you were born, has there ever been a moment where you've actually told the truth?" And Light gives his little spiel about, "Oh, I try to be as honest as possible." And Elle's like, "I had a feeling you'd say something like that." And so they go inside, and this whole the imagery of, because they show a lot of religious imagery and stuff like that. And here we have uh Elle cleaning Light's feet, which, Jesus did with his followers, and something he did, I mean, even up to the day when Judas betrayed him. But here we have Elle cleaning the feet of Light. who Light in this case is the betrayer essentially. Um, and L is more of like a not more. It's not really. I wouldn't really consider him as a Jesus figure, um, but he even says he's like, "Oh, it's the least I can do to least I can do to atone for my sins." But then one of the best. I think I actually have to play the audio because it's just so good. Hang on. So this it is so good because not only does it kind of give Light a heads up on like, but it's like I said, it's L accepting his death. So, but
It'll be lonely, won't it? You and I will be parting ways soon. Yes? I understand. I'm on my way. Come on, let's go, Light. It seems like it's all worked out.
and just as he says they'll be parting ways soon, he gets the call saying that it's an okay, good to go for the prisoner to use the notebook. And we get there and he's like, "What are you talking about? We already know the notebook works. Like, who would do?" He's like, "Don't worry. The prisoner we've got is that scheduled to be executed in 13 days, and after writing a name, if he's still alive in 13 days, and he'll be pardoned and be free to go." Um, and then, but it's like, well, still, he's like, "No. If we do this, the entire case will be solved." And of course, that happens. The rain, Watari dies, and then finally, the fall of L, like literally the fall of L, and then just as one more freaking, the best thing they could have done, just to show how clearly just bad this dude was. They show Light smiling while he's looking down at L, as in, "Hey, guess what? You were right. But what are you going to do about it now? I've won." And it is perfect. And after L dies, he goes on for what, 7 years, unimpeded, no challenge, no nothing, because they have nothing. L, the greatest detective in the world, could not capture Kira. And here he is. Here is Kira holding L, saying, "Yeah, yeah, you won. But you won the battle. But looks like I've won that war. Because, yeah, I am Kira. But what are you going to do about it now? I've won." And it encompasses everything about Light. Like, he is such a douchebag. Now, in the manga, he's more, "I don't care really about anyone." After his father dies, he's on his father's hospital bed after he dies, and making it seem like, "Oh," but then they show him like smirking, like calling him useless or a fool or whatever. But in the anime, obviously they're different. But in the anime, he kind of like, even when he has to consider killing Sayu, he's like, "If this thing goes sideways and goes bad, I might have to consider killing Sayu." And Misa hears it, and the fact that he's in the bathroom, he's got the water turned on, and the fact that he's contemplating this and that he clearly seems distressed. In the anime at least, he still has some kind of morality when it comes to family. I mean, he doesn't seem to have a problem doing it when push comes to shove, but especially when his father dies. I mean, yeah, he has that inner monologue of, um, no one will think it's insane if I overreact, not overreact, but while he's trying to get his father to write down Mello's name, um, but in that moment where his dad actually dies, he does, I think part of him does acknowledge that his father is dead. So that Kira part of him is kind of put aside for that moment. At least in the anime. People were always confused, especially with that part. It's like, was he actually crying? Was it just an act? It was kind of both, because it is still his dad. You know, it was still his dad. But, the fact that he considered killing Sayu if things went wrong, uh, but this moment is just perfect. And then, of course, he gets up and, starts freaking out like, we're next. Um, and then he gets to Rem's remains before anyone else does, gets her notebook, and
I swear I'll avenge.
he's like, I'll avenge Ryazaki, and then for 7 years he goes unchallenged as Kira, because the greatest detective in the world couldn't take him down. Who's gonna do it? No one. Until Mello and Nier step in. But just everything about this episode, the music, the imagery, the symbolism, it's so good. It's so good. And even if you know nothing about this episode, I would say give it just watch it. I mean, it's Death Note. It's not a complicated plot. One guy's trying to catch the other guy. One guy has a notebook that can kill people and he's using it to kill people. The other person is trying to catch the person who's killing people with the notebook. Not a complicated plot. So I would definitely say watch the first episode, watch this episode, and also watch the end. The ending, that the whole final reveal of, I am Kira, Light finally letting that his true self show, and just admitting to being Kira, and kind of gloating about there being a lower crime rate and wars being basically non-existent, and it's so good. When he's running and he's kind of having the flashbacks, and as he's running he sees his younger self walking by. It's so good. And then Ryuk, and his whole little monologue of, you know about having, what he said to Light the first day they met, and about how he'd be the one writing his name in his notebook. And it's it's so good. It's so freaking good. And of course, it's different from the manga. The manga is clearly different, just like the Yu Yu Hakusho manga is different, just like the Dragon Ball Z manga is different. My Hero Academia, you name it, the manga is always going to be different from the anime. Like, they do keep things, but general ideas, but the way they go about them sometimes, or certain scenarios. For example, like in Yu Yu Hakusho, in the manga, after Genkai is killed, she stays dead. She stays dead. In the anime, she's brought back and she survives till the final episode. So just a subtle difference changes things a little bit, but the outcome, the chain of events still happen. Same thing with here. A character might do something a little differently, but the chain of events is essentially the same. But yeah. Episode 25, Silence. It's so good, and if you haven't watched, watch it. Ashley also, let's see. There's another one. Overcast. Yeah. Overcast. That episode as well. The ending, the coldness of Light. The whole, if you don't mind me asking, why do you keep looking at your watch? And he's like, oh, well, I guess it's because. And then he looks at her with the coldest stare and says, because I'm Kira. And there's nothing she can do about it. because he's already written her name down, and he wrote down that she's gonna kill herself. There's nothing she can do, and it's only 37 episodes. Just watch it. Anyway, let me know if you watch Death Note what your favorite moment is. But Silence, the entire episode is just perfection. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.